Hello everyone, back tuning into today's video. We're going to have a look at where next week to 10 days in today's video. This will take us to around the 20th of August. So we're going into the latter stages of the summer now, running down to late summer with the updates. Won't be long before we're heading into the early part of the autumn, actually, to be honest. So we're running into the second half of August. We've been very unsettled over the past couple of days in the south and east. Real deluge, very cool as well. It's better today, it's drier and sunnier, and it is warmer as well, although nothing to get excited about. We'll have a few days of quiet weather again, but it looks as though, as well, a few days of quiet weather as well, but then it looks as though next week, again, we're back to very unsettled conditions with more areas of low pressure running in from off the Atlantic. We'll have a look at what's going to happen in the next week to 10 days. In a moment, just to say that at the end of the video, I have a very, very latest from the CFS V2 for the winter. I'll show you its latest 700 millibar height anomaly chart at the end of the video for winter of 2017-18. So we're going to start off with 500 millibar height anomaly flow charts for the next week to 10 days. We've got the ECMWF here on the top. And the GFS, which I'll have a look at in a moment, is on the bottom. 500 millibars, 80,000 feet is an area in the actual high pressure, low pressure being moved around by the jet stream. And on these charts, blue is extrapolating to low pressure, and orange and red extrapolates to high pressure, essentially. So what we see for ECMWF is that for the 7 to 10 day time frame, it is looking very unsettled. A deep trough is in there over the British Isles and over much of the northern part of the Atlantic Ocean as well. We're doing something like that with the jet stream, so we've got a deep trough close to the UK and Western Europe. We're digging the jet stream southwards of the UK, so on the cool side of the jet. And this just looks very unsettled conditions as we're going into the second half of August with showers or longer spells of rain and cool temperatures as well. But GFS is very similar. It's not quite as bad. That trough isn't quite as deep, but it is there across Scotland and to the north of the country. Instead of running the jet stream to the south of the country, actually running the jet stream through the UK, so it still is very changeable. Have got a bit of a ridge down here close to Spain and Portugal, but I don't think that's doing all that much for us, except occasionally throwing weak ridges into the south. But essentially, this is still westerly, it's still Atlantic dominated. It's still probably quite cool and unsettled, just not quite to the same extent that we see with the ECMWF. Today's ensemble is coming from Loughborough, so this is the midnight GFS ensemble update for Loughborough. We can see that it's looking a couple of days of drier weather just here, but then it is looking very unsettled. Dealing with temperatures first of all, though, the red line here is a 30-year upper air temperature average, and again, same deals we've been seeing in the ensembles regularly recently. It's looking like staying at or below average really for the next couple of weeks. So we do get a slightly warmer day just there. And we get a slightly warmer day just there. But overall, the ensembles are staying on the cool side, generally trending a little bit underneath the red line, which, as I say, it's a 30-year average for precipitation. So not completely dry, even in this drier phase. There are some small precipitation spikes to be seen. But overall, the next 3-4 days will be drier. But then we get through to next week, from around Tuesday onwards, rainfall is coming back. It looks like we're having another wet spell just after mid-month. Then maybe as we run down towards the latter stages of the month, this period just here, possibly going into something a little bit drier. But overall, that still looks very unsettled once we get through to around Tuesday, Wednesday next week. Temperature anomalies for the next week is going from the 10th to the 18th of August, coming out around or under average, not just for the UK, but for many parts of Western Europe. So another cool week from the 10th to the 18th of August. Precipitation-wise, it's close to average, a little bit wetter than average in the east and southeast country, interestingly. A bit drier than average in the west and the northwest. I would expect these to start trending more unsettled again over the coming few days. GFS then for Monday, and we get a quieter weekend that just about holds on in the east on Monday, but already low pressure is developing out to west, bringing more rain to the west on Monday. That probably is going to spread eastwards through the day. Tuesday, so we've got a trough extending down through the country. There is a weather front that's here through the central part of the country, just there. So quite a bit of rain Monday into Tuesday, spreading eastwards across the UK. But a little bit of a transient ridge into the south on Wednesday, but more low pressure is downstream in the Atlantic. That gives us another swipe of wet and windy weather through into Thursday. We're a week out now, so it's a little way off, but it does look unsettled there as we're going into the second half of next week. And this just goes on to the end of next week. This takes us to Friday 18th of August, where it's looking cool, windy and showering across the country. Saturday the 19th, ever such a slight ridge building into the south. What comes of that? Well, it starts to pull up some warmer air into southern counties, but really it's still this area of low pressure just here that is driving the weather. And as we extend out beyond that, what happens on this particular run of the GFS is that this low pressure gets a little bit stuck out to the north and west. As we start to move in towards the latter stages of August, possibly some signs of a more definitive build of pressure coming along then. So I talked about this in a video yesterday. I think if you're looking for a return to summer, it's probably going to be the final 10 days. I would have thought the final week, really, that you should be focusing on for at least the potential for something a bit drier and warmer to come along then. But up till then, it is looking really quite unsettled. Eastern UF looking like this, a little bit of a ridge in the east on Monday, but low pressure is out to west, low pressure extending in across the country on Tuesday. By the way, it could be quite warm in the southeast on Monday. We might get temperatures up to around 25 degrees, but it'll quickly be replaced by cooler and wetter weather. Into the middle part of next week, still looking unsettled really. Next area of low pressure is rolling in from off the Atlantic on Thursday, that bringing much cooler air back in from the Northern Atlantic again to the end of next week, and very showery conditions too. And we keep things generally cool and unsettled up to day 10, which is Sunday the 20th of August. So it's a mixed bag. Few days of drier weather from today through to around Monday, but then back to unsettled weather. Next week does look quite unsettled, especially through the latter stages of next week. Still possibly focusing on the end of the month, or the final week of the month, but something a little bit warmer. I just wanted to throw this in. It'll be gone soon at the CFS website when they update and change the months over. But at the moment, CFS V2 is still forecasting a cooler than average month for the UK. There is an idea that CFS V2 is very warm or mild biased. So you don't often see this from CFS V2 that goes for cooler than average month. But with 10 days in, and model is still forecasting below average temperatures for the UK and for Ireland and for many parts of northern France, like Holland, Belgium, northern Germany, Denmark as well. So we're not alone, but it is there going for a cooler than average month for August. And finally, I promise you that you'd have a look at the latest CFS V2 700 millibar height anomaly for the winter, and this is it. Now, remember, this is all still a very, very long way off, so don't be too disheartened about this if you want cold and wintry weather. But it is going for a classic zonal sort of winter at the moment, so it's placing a lot of low pressure up to the north of the UK and in the Atlantic. Has this ridge then from the Azores, that's the Azores high, is extending into Spain and Portugal and Mediterranean. The jet stream is coming through like that, so it's very westerly this, and it will consequently therefore be a mild and fairly wet and windy winter. There wouldn't be much in the way of cold weather the winter if that came off. As I say, it's a really long way out. Don't be disheartened about that if you're waiting for something a bit colder this winter. It's been quite a while now since we had a notably cold spell in the winter. You have to go back to 2012, 2013 for our last sort of notable spell of snowy weather. And the winter since then have generally been on the mild side. Of course, have had some exceptionally mild Decembers, particularly in the past two winters. So it's going for that kind of thing again at the moment, CFS V2. perhaps not to that extent in terms of mildness, but certainly is going for a mild Atlantic-driven zonal unsettled westerly winter. But it's a very long way off, and we start taking all of this more seriously when we get through to around September, October time. Right, so coming back to the next week to 10 days, the idea is that we're going to have 3 or 4 days of drier weather from today through to Monday, through the weekend. Not complete dry. There'll be rain in the north, for example, tonight and tomorrow morning. There'll be some showery bursts coming and going, particularly in the north and west over the weekend. And then by Monday, it's turning wet again out in west. So even this drier period isn't going to be completely dry, but it will be a drier, warmer slot interlude, and then from around Tuesday onwards, very unsettled again as we're going through next week, possibly late August, final week or so, for something definitively warmer and drier. That very speculative. Right, JMA Friday tomorrow, and we'll have a look at the month ahead with Japanese CFS V tomorrow, so come back for that tomorrow. That's all for now, and thanks for watching.